Hi everyone, I hope you're having an amazing day. This is FC with CappersDirect.com, here to talk to you guys and bring you guys your first look preview for Saturday, February 24th. This time it's going to be Bellator 291. But before we get into that, let's do some quick little bitty housekeeping, right? Last event, guys, we swept last Bellator event. It was sick. We had plus 225s, plus 170s, hitting everything. Max fight pick, easy, no problem. We had the fight doesn't go to the decision, and I also said under 2.5 in a fight. It knocked out in the second round, no problem. So if you guys aren't on the card or on the max fight pick for Bellator, you're going to miss out. Second thing, now, make sure to give this video a like and hit subscribe. There's a ton of you guys that are just hitting the video and just watching it, not subscribed, not hitting the thumbs up. Guys, give this video a thumbs up, give it some love, and then make sure you go see the UFC breakdown that we dropped yesterday or earlier today, or we dropped it earlier this week, okay? So go check out the UFC, especially the beginning part where I just do a quick recap. You want to see what happened? You want to see what happens on these cards? You guys need to check out that UFC breakdown we dropped. Now, let's get into your Bellator 291. It's going to be a rematch between Yaroslav Amosov versus Logan Sterling. Let's get into your main card and your main event breakdown right now. All right, so let's get into your Bellator main event for Bellator 291 that's going down on Saturday. All right, guys, we're coming at you from the welterweight division. We have Yaroslav Amosov versus Logan Sterling for the championship at welterweight. Guys, let's look at the Yaroslav side first. He's 26-0. He's 26-0 for a reason. This fight is a rematch. He won the first fight barely. And really, we'll get into that a little bit, but Yaroslav is 5'11", 75-inch reach, so he's going to be taller. He's going to have a better reach. The last fight was a split decision win. In that fight, you got to see that Yaroslav was the better striker. You got to see that he was winning minutes on the ground, but then it looked like he was fading late, and that's when Logan Sterling was coming on. Looking at Logan Sterling is 14-1. He's 5'9". He's going to be coming in with a 71.5-inch reach, so he's going to be giving up height and reach. Currently, Logan Sterling is the interim champ. If you remember, Logan Sterling fought MVP. It was supposed to be Yaroslav fighting MVP, and Yaroslav had to withdraw because of the Ukraine things. He's a Ukrainian fighter. So he had to withdraw that fight. Logan Sterling steps in, beats MVP by split decision. It looked like Logan Sterling should have probably won that fight, not by split decision, but needless to say, he's on a 3-fight win streak. And I think it's important because if you remember in the first fight, Yaroslav was getting off on the striking and was doing better early on. His cardio was better. Logan Sterling, man, this isn't a guy who I love. This isn't a guy who I love to bet because Logan Sterling will come in here in shape looking 100% on point and will roll through people. And then he'll come out and he just gasses. But in this fight, he's taking everything seriously. He knows that they already lost once. The first time, talking to Logan, he thought he was winning that fight. I think he even told me his corner was telling him that he was winning or something. Something happened where he was super confused about what happened. He thought he had won that fight, no problem. Come to find out, he lost. It was a shock to the system for him. In this fight, I mean, the crazy thing about Logan Sterling is that he's constantly getting better. He came into MMA a little bit later, and so you got to see in the Neiman Gracie fight that he was doing better with the striking. He outstruck Neiman Gracie. He stood in front of him and said, I'm going to out-volume you, and he did. He was very, very surprising. And so Logan Sterling's like, hey, I'm increasing my striking to match anything Yaroslav's able to do. And on top of that, I know I was coming on late. I know I could push more, and I know I could win this fight. So Logan Sterling is the fact that he was coming on late in that fight is surprising, and it does shock a lot of people. But as of right now, guys, knowing Yaroslav Amosov, everything that he's doing, Amosov is pushing himself. He's putting Ukraine on his back, and he's going to win this championship. That's the way he's got it in his mind. He's put in all the work. Logan Sterling, on the other hand, has also put in all the work. So now we're getting two pretty good fighters. In the end, if you got to see that fight, if Yaroslav was not going to gas himself and could keep that pace, he could probably win that fight, right? He could probably win this fight if he kept that pace that he did in the first few rounds. But then we got Logan Sterling coming correct, being like, all right, I know what to expect, right? I know what you're going to bring to the table, and now I'm not going to let up. I'm going to bring it. I'm going to bring it from start to end because I know that I'm better. So, guys, it's going to be an awesome fight. I think it's going to be a lot closer than a lot of people think. But as of right now, I do favor Yaroslav Amosov right now. Right now. Again, on Friday, things could change. So you guys are going to want to tune into that right up. Because, again, in the UFC, if you looked at that main event, I said Jessica Andrade. I thought Jessica Andrade was ready. Things happened that week. We ended up max betting Aaron Blanchfield. So things can change. So you guys are going to want to tune into that right up. But as of right now, I like Amosov. I think it's going to be very, very close. If you're going to bet this fight, it could be very, very sweaty, and that's a problem. But, guys, that's going to be my pick for currently, for right now, for today. On Friday, it may change. But let's get into your next fight. All right, guys, let's get into your co-main event for Bellator 291. We're coming at you with the featherweights. Pedro Carvalho versus Jeremy Kennedy. Let's get into the Pedro side. Pedro is 27 years old. He's 5'11", coming in here with a 70.5-inch reach. Currently, he's on this win-loss thing. But if you look at his last win, he did beat Mads Burnell, and he was like a plus 400 at the time. That was shocking. Mads Burnell is a person who's really great on the ground, really great grappler, and it was a nitty-gritty fight back and forth, but for Mads Burnell to be that big of a favorite, for Pedro Carvalho to be a plus 400 to come across with this win is crazy. What Pedro Carvalho can do in Ireland and overseas, he's really been able to show his stuff. In this fight, Pedro Carvalho is going to want to get this to the ground. He's going to want to make sure he stays striking. He doesn't necessarily get countered, because that's where Jeremy Kennedy can really pop off, is on the counters. So Pedro Carvalho is going to have to pop up and then really try to get the takedown and try to drag this down. That's going to be his game plan coming in. Personally, let's look at the Jeremy Kennedy side. Jeremy Kennedy, 30 years old, 5'11", 71-inch reach. They almost cancel each other out with that stuff. He's coming in here with an 18-3 record. Jeremy Kennedy is one of these fighters that a lot of people sit there and be like, oh, Jeremy Kennedy's the man. He's got everything. He's a really good fighter. Guys, I don't see it. Like, I do see how he's a good fighter. I do see how he can win. He's very meat and potatoes for me, how he can win fights. But I also see how he can lose fights, because he is so meat and potatoes. You go up against someone with a really great striking or really great takedowns. I think Jeremy Kennedy is susceptible to that. But he's a fighter that likes to stay safe. He's looking to strike in this battle. He likes to stay kick heavy, and he wants to stay away from the ground. Now, Jeremy Kennedy is one of these guys that he does whatever it takes to win. So if that means take you down, handcuff you, and just beat your head in, that's what Jeremy Kennedy will do. But in this matchup, it's very interesting, because Pedro Carvalho is man, he does no chin. The guy, if you want to put together shots and you want to rock Pedro Carvalho will dive in the legs if you hurt him. But if you want to follow up with 2, 3, and you can nail him, you can put him out cold. That's how lacking of a chin that he has. I'm very, very terrified of Pedro Carvalho. Every time he goes in there, he swings big. But I mean, look at the tournament. Pedro Carvalho was picked first because they knew that he had no chin, right? In this fight, Jeremy Kennedy is extraordinarily confident. I favor the Jeremy Kennedy side slightly, but he's not a fighter that I just love. He's not a fighter that I'm looking at and I'm like, man, I'm looking at this matchup. Jeremy Kennedy's going to come out here and just wipe the floor of Pedro Carvalho. He may, because Pedro Carvalho is so bad when it comes to certain things. But in Ireland, Pedro Carvalho shows up. Pedro Carvalho likes to go for the takedowns. He's really, really great on the ground. So this fight, I favor Jeremy Kennedy, but it's one of these things where I favor him, but do I really love Jeremy Kennedy? No. Am I telling you like Jeremy Kennedy's going to dominate this fight? No. Pedro Carvalho really showed a lot. Again, he's on this win-loss. Is he up for a loss? Maybe. In the end, guys, I'm going to favor Jeremy Kennedy. I'm going to favor Jeremy Kennedy's striking and his ability to keep this on the feet and use his counter-striking to really touch up Pedro Carvalho. He might even be able to hurt him a couple times. So I like Jeremy Kennedy as of today, but I really have to dig deep into both their game plans and both their mindsets to make sure that they're coming in here properly, because if one's coming in with an injury, it could change everything. If one's coming in here knowing like, hey man, there's a ton of pressure on me and I don't know if I can win this fight and this is everything, I'm putting everything on, that could change the dynamics of whether or not that fighter is prepared or whether or not that fighter is scared. It's a very fine line. So it's up to me to determine this week what's going to happen in this fight. And on Friday, you're going to want to tune into that right up. But as of right now, again, Jeremy Kennedy currently, but it could change up. Remember, I told you guys, I like Jessica Andrade in the UFC last time, and then we max bet Aaron Blanchfield because we had information that came in. That stuff happened. So you're going to want to tune in on Friday. But don't forget, we swept last Bellator. So tune in Friday. Let's get into your next fight. All right, let's get into your next fight. Your next fight is coming at you from the lightweight division. We have Peter Quilley versus Bryce Logan. Guys, let's look at the Peter Quilley side first. Peter Quilley is 38 years old. That's older, right? 38 years old, 5'10", 74.5-inch reach. He's currently on a 0-2 losing streak. But guys, this is in Ireland, right? But looking at it, has Peter Quilley won in Ireland the last 2 times? Not so much, but they were putting him up against pretty good competition. The last one, Benson Henderson. Benson won by unanimous decision. You really got to see Peter Quilley's age in that fight, and I'm kind of worried about it. In this, though, in talking with people at Bellator and talking with everyone there, Peter Quilley, this is a show me spot for Peter Quilley. I hate to say it, right? Because you're in your hometown. He's going to be playing Zombie by the Cranberries, right? Zombie. I mean, he's going to get the crowd hype. They're going to be hype. He's going to be, he's been there. He's done this before. It's very, very just attractive, right? It's very, you're going to see Peter Quilley, and it's very endearing when the whole crowd is going nuts for him. And so Bellator knows that. They're putting him up against Bryce Logan. Bryce Logan's 33, 5'9", 70-inch reach. So there are a lot of things there that are going in Peter Quilley's way when it comes down to reach. I mean, Bryce Logan's only 0-3 currently in Bellator, and he's just an okay fighter. This, to me, looks like Bellator is trying to set up Peter Quilley for a win. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. That's what it looks like to me. But going into it a little deeper, he's 38 years old. He's not necessarily known to be the fastest person. He's very hittable. He bleeds so easily. And Logan is just down to fight. He's going to be down here to fight. In the end, guys, I do favor Peter Quilley currently, but I really have to dig into the Logan side, to Bryce Logan, because Bryce Logan, not a lot of people know this, but he changed camps for this fight. He's looking really good. He's looking pretty good. And so I could see why people are scared to bet on Peter Quilley. 38 years old, older, bleeds constantly, but in his hometown. So there are a lot of things there on the Peter Quilley side. Guys, I'm going to really have to dig deep into Bryce Logan. I'm going to have to really dig deep into Bryce Logan's mindset, game plan, and kind of what happened this camp, because while I followed him this camp, I didn't follow him as closely as I do other fighters, but I did keep an eye on him. He's there in the gym constantly. So I do have tape on him. So I do keep an eye on him, but I really need to dig deep. As of right now, though, guys, Peter Quilley is the side. He's the side that if you look at this, it looks like Bellator wants him to win. It's just, man, that age and doesn't have the best chin, bleeds constantly. In Ireland, though, I mean, there are going to be a lot of things here. We're definitely going to have a bet in this fight, one side or the other. So I'm going to let you guys know exactly how much to bet, because it's going to be, it may get a little bit dicey, and we may not want to put a ton of money on one side or the other, depending on if we go with the underdog or we go with Peter Quilley, who as of right now, that's who I favor. But guys, it's going to be a pretty good fight, but I really need to see. A lot of people are going to be writing off Bryce Logan. I'm not there. Don't do that. Don't be that person. He did a lot in his camp to change things up and to be better and to really show out in Bellator. I mean, he's looking at this as like, hey, this is it. This is probably my only chance. I have to win this fight. So, guys, that a man like that is a dangerous guy. And you not knowing any information, a lot of people just, oh, Bryce Logan's so bad, and Bryce Logan this, Bryce Logan that. Yeah, I get it. I get where you're coming from, but guys, until you know, you don't know. And we're going to know by Friday. So make sure to tune into that right up. Let's get into your next fight. All right, so let's get into your next fight. Your next fight is coming at you from the featherweight women's division. We have Sinead Kavanagh versus Jeanette Harding. Let's look at Sinead Kavanagh. She's 37 years old. She's 5'7", coming in here with a 68-inch reach. She's currently 8-5. Really, I've never really been that high on Kavanagh at all, really. But when you're looking at that last fight, she fought Leah McCourt. She blew out her knee middle of the fight fairly early and just fought through it. She really showed a lot. She showed me a lot in that fight. She's got power. We knew she had power. I was always worried about her gas tank, but man, when she had her knee blown out, she fought through it and really did win that fight. She couldn't even stand at the end. It was so bad. But let's look at Jeanette Harding a little bit. Jeanette Harding is 28 years old, 5'9", 70-inch reach. She's 6-6. Guys, she's a kickboxer and she's not bad. It's just she's been having really tough matchups. And in some of these matchups, she looks like she's winning and she definitely gets shots off before she ends up getting caught or ends up. She's always had a pretty decent chin, but I have seen her caught. Janae Harding doesn't necessarily have the best defense. She doesn't. She looks the part, but in the end, guys, I think this is Sinead Kavanagh. This is in Ireland. I think they're setting her up. They wanted Sinead Kavanagh to fight Chris Cyborg, but obviously that's not happening. To me, this is just a spot where Sinead Kavanagh is coming off of a devastating knee injury in a fight. And so it took some time off, got it repaired, got it taken care of. And this is sort of like a here you go, Sinead Kavanagh. Like, let's go ahead and get you one of these little fights that is a winnable fight. You should be able to win it. And then let's set up something big. Let's set up something big with the possible champion or let's figure it out. To me, that's what this shot is. This what this spot shows me. So I'm on the Sinead Kavanagh side currently. But Janae Harding, I mean, the girl plays the part well. She does a really good job. She's tight. She strikes very well. There's some things there that obviously need to be cleaned up. But as a 6-6 fighter, as a kickboxer fighting another striker who has more power and who Bellator is trying to push to possibly fight for a title, they don't want Janae. They're not looking for Janae Harding to come in here at 6-6 and take out Kavanagh and then fight for a title. This is just a hey, here you go, Sinead. We're going to give you a layup, right? I don't really see it as a layup, but we're going to give you a fight, a winnable fight, so you can take that momentum into your next fight. So as of right now, I think Sinead Kavanagh is the side. I'm not really high on Janae Harding, but I get why maybe bets would come in on her. Sinead Kavanagh hasn't necessarily been the most impressive. I haven't been the most impressed by her. It wasn't until her last fight that I was like, dang, this girl's got heart. I already knew she had heart, but she showed it in a fight. She could have easily quit. She could have easily stopped. I mean, her knee was blown out. It's not like Leah McCourt was just not trying to fight. She was trying to take her down. She was trying to wrench on the knee. She was trying to do everything she could to win that fight. Just Sinead Kavanagh just showed her veteran savvy and her ability to want it more. And so I think that's going to show up on this fight. But I do see her. I do see her as the side. But you're going to want to tune in Friday because we're going to pick an underdog. It may be in this fight. It may be and it's definitely going to be in the main card. But yeah, as of right now, Sinead Kavanagh, we'll see where it happens on Friday, but let's get into your next fight. All right, guys, let's get into your last fight for this main card. The main card opener, we have Kaylin Clark versus Leonardo Sinis. Well, let's go into the Clark side. Clark is 6-0. He's Bellator's prospect. He's the kid from Ireland that Bellator looks to push. And in his last fight, he did get a submission, but it was a little bit later. Little surprising there because I expected Clark to come out and dominate early, and he did struggle a little bit more than I thought, but in the end he ended up getting it. That's what he's doing. He's learning. Bellator's throwing him in there with people that are experienced and that people that he should be able to beat. That's another thing that's going on here. Sinis is 11-5. I mean, the guy is 30 years old now. He's 5'10". This is his first Bellator fight. This is going to be the biggest fight of his career. He's coming in here ready to go, but in the end, guys, I mean, Bellator is putting up their prospect not to lose. The guy's 6-0. They're not expecting him to lose. They're setting him up with someone that he should be able to take down in the first round and get the submission. Clark learned a lot in that last fight and is trying to learn on the job, and that's what Bellator is trying to groom. Thing is that sometimes these things don't always work out, right? Bellator, UFC is like, hey, this prospect's definitely going to win. We're going to push this prospect. And the prospect ends up getting knocked out. We've seen it in Bellator many times, especially in these overseas fights. So I wouldn't just count out Sinis because Leonardo, because, I mean, just because he's 30 years old coming in here, biggest fight ever. But, I mean, guys, the writing's on the wall. Clark is setting up. They're setting him up to win this fight via submission, probably early, but you're going to want to tune in on Friday because this is one of those fights where we may end up picking somebody by something and or we may end up going with the underdog if we end up getting some information about his camp or himself that he's just ready for this fight. As of right now, I don't necessarily see it, but you're going to want to tune in on Friday. But But that's going to be your Bellator 291 main card breakdown. Now, if you like this kind of content, be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit that like button, and comment down below Belly for this Bellator event. You guys know we swept last Bellator event. Let's try to sweep this one as well. Now, guys, don't forget, this is going down the same day as UFC, so February 25th on Saturday, but this offering is going to come at you from Bellator, so you're going to be looking at this a little bit early. So you're going to want to pick up the write-up on Friday, and you're going to bet it, because Saturday, February 25th, it's going to be a great day to win, baby. Let's get it again.